Welcome to the Wrestle Factor Podcast. My name is Josh. Your name is
Jay.
As always.
As always.
We're back after a couple weeks. Well, actually, just 1 week of not podcasting.
A short little hiatus.
A little bit. Just, schedule conflicts. It's not the... to be fair, I kind of didn't want to do it just because wrestling was so boring last week.
Yeah.
But it was mostly a scheduling conflict. Like, we couldn't... It takes us quite a while to come in and figure out the points, make sure they're right, and then record. We're usually here, probably 3 hours-ish, 2 or 3 hours.
Sometimes.
And we couldn't find a big enough gap in between our shifts at work to come in and do that. So, but we're back this week, here to talk about our disdain for the WWE.
Already pledging allegiance to AEW, and they've barely...
I haven't even seen it yet.
We'll watch it. We'll watch it at some point.
I really wanted to watch Double or Nothing, but I didn't have the extra $60 to buy the pay-per-view.
Hey, it was only 50.
50. I heard 60 at one point.
And whenever you're only doing a couple pay-per-views a year, it's not as bad.
That's true, yeah.
But it was a good show, honestly.
Yeah.
I didn't get to watch it live because I was busy with some other stuff, but I was able to go back and watch it. Great show.
Yeah, I heard there's a lot of cool stuff. I've seen a couple snippets. I saw the bit where Jon Moxley debuted, beat down Chris Jericho and Kenny
awesome.
Omega. That was pretty cool. I watched, I subscribed to this guy named Little V on YouTube. Mm-hmm. He's the one who did Kenny Omega's entrance music for Double or Nothing. Oh, yeah. So I watched Kenny Omega's entrance. Justin Roberts, by the way, announcing Kenny Omega to the ring was phenomenal.
Kenny Omega.
It was really good. Yeah, I'll have to watch it.
It makes me wonder why they ever got rid of him.
It's because WWE is not a wrestling product.
Yeah.
It's a sports entertainment product. And lately, I have not been very sports entertained.
Exactly. They're trying to do both, and they suck at both right now, honestly.
Yeah, we'll get onto that in just a minute, I suppose. But I will say, I did get my wrestling fix with NXT TakeOver.
Oh, yeah.
That was incredible. Probably my favorite one since we went to New Orleans.
The best one.
I thought the Cole Gargano match was better this time.
Yeah.
I could have done with...
I think that's mostly with the finish, though.
Yeah.
Honestly.
I still would have... I still like Gargano. I wanted Cole to win, obviously.
Yeah.
I wouldn't have been upset if Gargano won. But what I told you before the podcast was... I could have done with a fewer of the false finishes. I know they're really trying to put over that both these guys really want this title, but when you have someone hitting their finisher 10 times and it doesn't put them away,
yeah,
it makes me kind of think maybe you need a new finisher.
Yeah, or just defeating the purpose of a finisher.
Yeah.
It's I don't know.
It took Cole hitting the Panama Sunrise and then the last shot for, I don't know, the 4th or 5th time before he finally pinned Gargano.
Yeah.
But it was still a fantastic match. I loved all of it. I would have preferred Io win the title, but...
I see where they're going with it. They're really high on Shayna, which she has gotten better. It's also really difficult for NXT in their women's division. It seems like as soon as they get built up, half of it gets depleted out of nowhere.
Oh, that goes just for NXT in general.
Yeah, but it's definitely their women's division the most, I feel like. Because even in any other area, there's at least a few teams that they haven't quite pushed yet, but that there's something.
Right. And I would love to see Shayna go up to the main roster, but the problem is I know they'll take her and not Jessamine and Marina because they've had... I don't know, 3 matches on NXT.
When has that stopped them before, though?
That's true, yeah.
Heavy Machinery's on the main roster.
But the issue is, NXT and main roster are, 2 different halves of the same brain that don't communicate with each other. Mm-hmm. Vince will... This is at least how I am thinking it goes. Vince will go to Hunter and, ask him who are your top stars, and he'll tell him, and then Vince takes all of them and... takes away everything that made him great in NXT and put the Vince hat on them.
Pretty much.
And then it turns him into crap.
Which,
Finn Balor, Ricochet, Kevin Owens, all of them, they were phenomenal in NXT.
Sami Zayn.
Neville. And now they have been so flattened out and boring on the main roster.
Which, it could be for a multitude of reasons. It could be creative. It could be Vince. It just could be them themselves.
I think it's purely Vince, and I will tell you why.
Yeah.
And I mentioned this to you earlier, but I think it's no secret Vince has been running the company for like the last 30, 40 years. He's been the end-all be-all of all creative decisions. I'm starting to think that maybe he has just lost his passion. Any passion that he had for wrestling is gone, and now it's more of just maintaining a company. Not that he has lost his touch, because I know he can book great stuff. He's done it, but he doesn't look much further than a week or two out.
Yeah, I
think
if
things don't immediately, like with the wild card, it didn't improve ratings after 2 weeks.
I've had an epiphany.
And now
the wild card rule.
The wild card and the new gritty look of the third hour of Raw did not improve ratings, like for whatever reason he thought they were going to.
No.
And so the wild card is turned into Raw and Raw Replay.
Pretty much.
Not SmackDown.
Pretty much. It's the same group of people just being on both shows and repeatedly reminding us of what happened on either show.
Shane, Drew. Okay, SmackDown.
Because half the promos that happen nowadays are, you saw what I did, but in case you didn't, here's the video.
Yes. On SmackDown, before Shane was ever even on the show, they showed a replay of the beatdown that they gave to Roman on Raw where Shane speared him. They said Shane McMahon is determined to call out Roman Reigns tonight. Not that he's going to. That would be too... whatever.
Yeah. Pointless.
Shane then showed the video package again during his promo. They then showed it like a third time before Shane actually came out. And then Shane showed it again when he was in the ring. We had to see the replay from Raw 4 times.
Yeah. We've...
I'm in stunned silence.
Yeah.
If you can't see me.
We've seen... Like, the shows have been more replays of what little has actually gone on during the shows.
Yes.
So, you're basically taking what little content you actually have and just trying to spread it. Which I feel mostly is due to Super Showdown. They're trying to build it up, make sure people watch it, but at the same time, it's not going to have any long-term effects.
And with Super Showdown, it's very much influenced by the Saudi government, what they want to see from this product, and a lot of it is like nostalgia wrestling. That's why Undertaker and Goldberg are on the show. That's why Brock Lesnar's on the show. That's why Triple H and Randy Orton are having a match.
Pretty much.
So they're also like they're promoting like big men like Braun Strowman and Bobby Lashley are having a match. They're having a big battle royal.
Yeah.
They're just promoting what someone who hasn't been watching wrestling in the last 10 years expects wrestling to be.
Yeah. It's the most well-paid house show, basically.
Yes. And so I'm trying to just think that it's just for Super Showdown right now that the storylines aren't going anywhere.
Yeah.
But we all know that's not the reason.
Like, here's hoping, though. Like, once they come around next week, all that other stuff will kind of be dropped, and we'll get back into some main storylines, and won't have to worry about this until November, when the other Saudi show.
The one storyline that got any sort of time to build towards Stomping Grounds, the SmackDown Women's Title match, was actually I thought pretty entertaining. I liked the triple threat.
Wasn't bad. It was a pretty good match.
I didn't care for the setup. You could easily tell what was going to happen when the 4 of them were on the stage.
Like, is it really so bad to just announce we're going to have a number 1 contenders match?
Yeah,
honestly.
Okay, I'm just going to go off on tangent for a second. When you do something like that,
tangent over.
Whenever you have a wrestler come out and they set up a match for later in the show, that makes me think, okay, you know that the show is 2 hours. What did you have planned that match took the place of?
Yeah.
Or was it just empty and you were hoping someone was going to come out and make a match?
Yeah.
And it just so happened that match ran the exact amount of time that you had empty.
For like a supposedly sports type product, like, why can't you announce what's going to happen in the show at the start of the show? Like, instead of having your half-hour long promo that starts the show, have the commentators run down what's going to happen, like all the matches, all the big moments. people can actually be excited for it and want to wait to watch it.
And I understand if you want to book something that's supposed to be a surprise, like if the Undertaker were to show up, like you don't want to be like, the Undertaker's going to be here at the end of the show. It's like, okay, cool.
You need to have something interesting enough for people to stick around for that.
Like, we're going to have awesome main event. It's going to be Seth Rollins and AJ Styles and Finn Balor in a triple threat for the WWE title. And then the Undertaker shows up. Anyway, I'd lose my mind.
You had this amazing Sunday and then the chair, basically.
Exactly.
But no, they're just throwing a jar of cherries at you and like you figure it out.
It's also all vanilla ice cream.
Yeah.
Haha. Hey, to be honest though, I like cherries. We got way off topic.
That's the point of a tangent.
That's the point of a tangent.
Yeah.
Just gonna change topics altogether now. Firefly Funhouse. Still the best thing on Raw. I thought this week was hilarious.
Yes. Well, do we want to talk about last week since we didn't get to?
Last week,
not much. It was the Limbo.
The Limbo one.
Limbo episode.
Like I say, I have a hard time remembering what happened last week at any point.
Pretty much.
Even though I was there.
You almost...
That's another thing I didn't mention that I wanted to bring up. Yeah. I was at Raw last week.
Yeah.
And...
You were, I wasn't.
We will...
Yeah.
Well, let's finish the Firefly Funhouse thing, and then we'll come back to that.
Yeah. Yeah, last week was the Limbo episode, which was a nice little callback to Bray Wyatt's little spider walk.
Yeah.
Which was interesting.
Yeah.
More of just the creepy, just stone-faced kids.
Mm-hmm.
So there was that. I mean, not really much to it, but still entertaining.
It's because this feels very like pre-thought out.
Yes.
And wouldn't you know, when you plan things out in advance, they can be done so much better.
Exactly.
Who'd have thought?
Yeah, because Vince's bipolar mind doesn't get a hold of it 5 seconds before you go out.
Yeah.
It's like,
and it's even more exciting to me that it's gone 7 weeks without it being completely taken over by him.
Yeah.
So much so that he was even in this week as the devil.
Yeah.
But no, Bray Wyatt tweeted, it was like a month ago or so, that he did 8 consecutive promos in 2015 where a line from each one didn't belong.
Yeah.
No one was able to figure it out. He eventually just tweeted it himself because
basically tweeting out what he wanted people to try and figure out or find out.
He tweeted out the lines and everything, and someone did figure out that all of the lines in question are names of the Firefly Funhouse episodes, or the themes of it.
Yeah.
And because at first I was like, why did he just tell us the answer? That's why. There's only one left.
Yes.
So,
which
I can't remember right offhand what the lines were, but there's supposedly the last one is next week. So I'm curious to see how it's going to end, if this is the final episode, and then what happens after.
Yeah. I'm interested to see how he's actually going to be presented as a performer now. Like, will he still come out as, like, the children's show presenter, or will he come out as the Fiend?
I don't know.
Will he actually win matches now? You know?
I don't see him fighting as his children's show, Mr. Rogers kind of guy.
I think, like, any other time you're seeing him, like a backstage segment or on commentary, maybe he'll be that, but whenever he actually wrestles, he'll go out as the Fiend.
Yeah.
Something like that. Just don't treat it like the Demon.
That's what I was going to say. Like, the Demon was this, like, every takeover he was the Demon.
Yeah.
Every big match was that. Then they kind of did that for the main roster. He did it for, like, I don't remember what the pay-per-view was, but it was like a Halloween themed something. And he was
it was going
orange.
It was kind of like a pumpkin themed demon.
It was against Sister Abigail, wasn't it?
Against Bray Wyatt,
yeah,
ironically
oddly
enough. But then he got an illness, and then that was the replacement match with AJ.
Yeah.
So I think they just
But they were at first they had a whole storyline with him and the Miz where they were trying to explain the whole demon persona.
Yeah.
And then, like, after that, they just kind of stopped referencing it, and they've kind of dropped it altogether.
Yeah.
The Demon is something that only comes out on a very special occasion.
And Baron Corbin.
Because Brock Lesnar was not enough to get the Demon, but Baron Corbin and Bobby Lashley are. And now Andrade.
Yeah. Andrade and some Saudi money gets the Demon.
Which makes me kind of wonder, like, the Saudi, like, culture has been known for being kind of, like, religiously driven, and that, like, you know, all the controversy with the women and everything like that. For something that's so, like, religiously driven like that, why would they let someone be on the show as a demon?
Unless it's actually brought up there, I don't think it'll be anything. I think they'll just see it as a character. Like, it might be said on commentary, but I don't know if they'll actually announce him as the Demon Finn Balor. But
maybe.
Who knows?
I don't know. We'll find out. We will see.
But yeah, but back to Bray Wyatt and this week's Firefly Funhouse. It was an interesting segment. I was kind of rolling my eyes whenever watching it, but looking back on it, I was like,
I was cracking up.
Yeah, it was. I liked the callback to Husky Harris.
Yeah,
with the new character, and obviously Vince with devil
Huskus
horns.
the pig or something.
Yeah, something like that. It's like you need to stop being so fat before you get fired. But yeah, looking back on it, it was a pretty entertaining segment. Because I didn't really... It's just weird seeing Bray Wyatt, who was such like this dark character for so many years, doing this more upbeat style. Mm-hmm. You know, dancing very poorly, I might add, but, you know, it's kind of the point.
Yeah, it's supposed to be funny.
Yeah.
But I'm excited to see The Fiend.
Yeah.
And I hope it's not... As we were saying with Finn Balor, like, I hope they don't ruin it like they did with him, where it kind of stops being a thing, but I also hope they don't overdo it.
Yeah.
Like, they need that good balance between his calm character and the Fiend.
Yeah.
So, like I said, it's more of just the curiosity, seeing what's going to come of this whole character change.
It's just like it's just WWE's bad track record. It's like we can't just look at this and just be completely excited. We look at it, get excited, and think, oh man, how are they going to ruin this?
I was going to say, like, yeah, I've been conditioned. I don't know how they've done this to me, but I've been conditioned to every week be excited for the show, like Raw and SmackDown, get 10 minutes in and I'm like, this is crap. And then I start to wonder, like, when something new happens, I'm like, well, how are they going to mess this up? How are they going to start booking this? Like the 24/7 title, like...
The concept was great.
The concept is great. I'm glad that R-Truth has been the one holding it for a while. But also, like, I want it to be more than just a jobber belt.
Pretty much.
A championship is not meant to be held by losers.
Yeah. Like...
When you can get pinned on a golf course.
I mean, at least it's now been Elias's first ever WWE championship. He's already a 2-time champion.
But that doesn't say...
It's been held by a former WWE champion. So.
Which, yeah, on paper, they're going to, you know, not fudge, but, like, blow up the numbers and this and that, make it sound greater than it is. But at the end of the day, it's a crap title that really means nothing except for a comedy skit.
Yeah. I mean, but honestly, like, you could look at the Hardcore Championship in that same vein, which is basically, like, it's not taking all of the same cues from it, but, you know, the 24/7 stipulation. It's like, you can make that entertaining. Like,
you can.
You know, like...
I'm not saying that I've hated every bit of it.
Honestly, I think it needs to be more of like an online title. Like the video that they posted last week where Jinder Mahal, for some reason in his wrestling gear, attacks...
At the golf course?
Attacks R-Truth at a golf course.
Your gear for that.
Exactly. Just to get pinned 30 seconds later. It's like, do that, you know? It's like, oh, they're arriving at an airport. You know, one wrestler tackles R-Truth, pins him, and then runs off. You know, like has the title above his head while he's just hauling his luggage behind him.
Yeah, he runs onto the plane that way.
Yeah, it's like, do that. Like, make it entertaining.
And then they get another video of Truth pinning him back on the plane.
Exactly. Like he's like waiting in baggage claim, just rolls around on the conveyor belt, and just, you know, punches him and takes the title and just runs down the conveyor belt.
I would love to see that.
Like, yeah, like if you're going to make it the, you know, you're going to make it the precious
24/7 title.
You know, you're going to make it the precious that everybody is running after. Then make it that. Like, make it
have a bit where someone breaks into R-Truth's home in the middle of the night and pins him while he's in bed.
Yeah,
it's like, I don't want any of your stuff. I just want the title.
Yeah,
24/7.
Exactly.
Like, it can't just be stuff that happens at the arena.
Exactly. And, like, half the time it's just...
When we know some of them travel together.
and also, like, you know, why don't you have people, like, following Carmella? Because Carmella can always find truth in the arena.
Carmella has no problem finding truth.
Like, Truth somehow finds a hiding spot. Nobody goes looking for him. But they know that he's affiliated with Carmella, but they don't go after her either. Like,
I want to see Carmella beat him for it. Just, like, on a fluke or something.
Well, they can't do that because, you know, I don't know. I don't think they've officially announced that it could be intergender.
Why couldn't it be, though?
I'm not saying it can't be. I'm just saying they haven't done it yet. They need to put it on somebody else by this point.
Well, I could see ways where they could swap it from man to woman and vice versa. Like, just an idea pops in my head. Like, maybe there's some, like Truth and Carmella are backstage. Carmella's, like, beefing with some other woman or whatever. She pushes her over. Carmella lands on R-Truth and somehow pins him.
Yeah. Honestly, this would be a great title for Lio Rush. Like, whenever he was in his manager role and, you know, somebody else was on the outside trying to attack him, how he would just be jumping all over the place.
Yeah.
It'd be perfect right now.
Yeah.
It wouldn't be as comical, but it would, you know, put a little more athletic legitimacy into the title.
Right.
You know? It's like, because it's pretty much just, you're the champion because you got lucky and are able to run away. That's pretty much all I see right now.
Yeah. Anyway, just kind of one more thing I want to talk about before we get on to the points. The podcast that shook the world, I guess, ever since, at least the one since CM Punk's. Jon Moxley was on the Talk Is Jericho podcast with Chris Jericho, talking about all of his creative frustrations in the last year or two.
Few years, I think.
Few years.
Pretty much ever since the Shield breakup. Like, it obviously wasn't as bad in the early days, but definitely within the last year or so.
Yeah.
It seems.
Just, I don't know. If you haven't listened to it yet, it's a really good podcast. I highly recommend it.
And he was basically just confirming a lot of points that people have been making.
Yeah, a lot of
that. The creative team isn't necessarily bad. It's just the overall opinion, or like the overall like choice for what they go with is not good.
Right.
Like Vince's decision isn't great.
Yes, and it also like solidifies more what CM Punk said 5 years ago, that Vince surrounds himself with yes men, and that people aren't going to stand up to him. The only people that are going to stand up to him are the talent, not anyone that's on the creative team.
Pretty much. Vince looks at it as a business. He doesn't look at it as wrestling.
Right, and that's what I was saying.
He's not going to push wrestlers and a wrestling product. He's going to push entertainment.
Right.
Whatever he likes and whatever makes him laugh, he's gonna push that up to the top first.
Right, and you'll hear a lot of that if you listen to the podcast. Just we'll call him Dean because that's how he was at the time.
Yeah.
He was just being handed like these crap promos and segments and like lines to say, and it was just like centered around props or things that weren't about his character or the feud. It was him being a heel was directing his anger at the crowd. The crowd had nothing to do with it.
Yeah.
So like the creative team is not building stars anymore.
No.
The wrestlers are purely trying to make themselves not look stupid.
Pretty much. Like, there was a point where he was talking about a promo that he was trying to get changed, and at one point in the podcast, he's like, and bear in mind, this is a $1 billion company, and we're all adults talking about, like, I think he said, talking about, like, a pooper scooper line.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, yeah, no.
Yeah, he got that
like,
line taken out.
I don't think you could really find any situation where that would be funny.
I mean, I guess it depends on who's telling it, because some people can make things work. Like, Chris Jericho literally has a piece of paper with a list of people he doesn't like, and he got that super over.
That's Chris Jericho.
But that's my point. Some people can get this stuff over. They got a potted plant over.
For the most part.
Those, like, Dean Ambrose and Chris Jericho.
Oh, yeah.
Well, the jacket and the scarves.
Yeah, they're the guys who are going to try and get it changed, but like you were saying, if they can't, it's like, all right, cool.
I'll just go out and do the best I can.
I'm going to make this the best I can then.
Yeah.
Like, and sometimes it
Fair
works,
enough.
sometimes it didn't. You know?
But the fact that he says in the podcast that, like, for 6 years he was having to go into Vince McMahon's office and try and tell him why this is a stupid idea.
pretty much.
And I'm like, yeah, I can see that. Ever since the Roman Reigns like leukemia thing, and he turned heel, like everything he did was complete garbage, just about.
There were little glimpses of something that could have been there.
I think the gas mask thing could have been good.
Yeah,
but they just didn't know how to write it.
But like whenever you hear that, like that was like maybe the 5th option that they had for that. Like,
yeah,
what was originally written. Okay, let's change it. Okay, Vince doesn't like the change, but he's willing to go with this. It's like, okay, but I'm willing to do this. It's like, all right, we'll go with that finally. It's like, I don't know.
And the, I guess the most notable line from the whole podcast was, whenever you're doing your promo, stay away from nouns, because Vince McMahon will always turn a noun into a prop. And when he said that he needed a gas mask, next week he comes out with a gas mask.
Yep.
So...
But yeah, I mean, he also just straight up said it's like their creative process sucks.
Yeah. And yeah, like we agree. Like, the thing is, it's like, I know that they can be better. That's why I watch every week.
Yeah.
Once in a while they do something that's really cool. But I'm honestly getting to the point where I'm tired of watching and just hoping that something good is happening. You wouldn't watch your favorite TV show in hopes that something good is happening. Yeah. You watch it because you know it is good.
Exactly. And I feel like they're trying to cater too much to the casual viewer and not thinking about the hardcore fan base that they do have, that watches week to week, that watches Raw and SmackDown and possibly 205 Live and NXT and the pay-per-views. It's like, that's a lot to ask from people. And whenever you're worried about the casual viewer too much, like, that's why your ratings are dipping. That's why you're not trying to think outside the box and trying to actually engage people. Like, you're doing the bare minimum, and these people are just kind of going with it because, like, you know, like, okay, it's not really much else that we can do. Yeah.
It just, like, it blows my mind whenever something like...
Also how the fact that, like, every week it seems like there's more and more people, or whether they're rumors or not, there's more and more people that you hear about is like, oh, they're trying to leave WWE. They're trying to quit.
That's what I was about to address.
Oh, they're writing out their contract. It's like,
you've got these people that are like top level, like near the top in their wrestling ability, and people like them and they want them to succeed, and then you put them in these segments that people don't like, and then they ask for their release, you tell them no, and these people are like, well, why can't you just like let them wrestle?
Yeah.
Why at that point do you not just go have a great match?
Yeah.
Here's no hokey crap, no stupid promo, stupid segment. You're gonna go out there and you're gonna have a 20-minute match, and it's gonna be great.
Here's the idea.
People want to watch wrestling.
Yeah, here's the idea. Let the adults that you pay, you know, actually have some input. You know, put enough faith into them that they can go out there and actually do their job. You know.
Right.
Which I feel,
because that's why these talents get signed in the first place, is for their wrestling ability.
For the most part. That's why I don't really like the Performance Center, honestly. Like, I like NXT. I like how they've been able to, you know, develop their developmental brand to where, like, it's almost more entertaining, or it is more entertaining than their main roster. But that shouldn't be the thing. It's like, developmental is to give them a taste of what the main roster will be like, and then, like, you get up there, and that's the big show. Like,
yeah.
No, there are people who are like, I don't want to leave NXT, or there are people like, I want to go back to NXT.
Tyler Breeze.
Yeah, I'm happy for Tyler Breeze. He's actually been featured now. He was in a championship match. When was the last time you heard that?
And the thing is, it's like Tyler Breeze is good at doing the goofy stuff that Vince wants, and they still weren't using him.
Yeah, whenever they were doing Fashion Files.
That was hilarious.
That was great. There was that one match where he had like 3 different costume changes. Like, that was entertaining.
Yeah.
Like, stuff like that can actually be good. But, I don't know. It's just ridiculous. It really is.
Yeah. Anyway, I feel like I got a lot of stuff off my chest with this podcast.
Yeah, it was nice to be able to take a break and actually just
I think I want to call
things.
it Rant-Cast this week. It's 2 weeks worth of frustration that I've been building. So.
The pipe bomb, right?
Something like that, sure. That's probably already a podcast name. So.
Oh yeah.
Real quick before we go, like always, we just want to go over the fantasy league points. Let's see who's on top. That is not what I meant to do. Yes, it is. Okay. So, I'm just going to go through the top 15. Yes, top 15. Actually, tied for 14th place are the Usos. They're at 39. 13th is Rey Mysterio with 40 points. Then Charlotte Flair with 44. Drew McIntyre with 46. 10th place is Daniel Bryan with 47. 9th is Baron Corbin with 48. Baron Corbin has more points than one of your SmackDown Tag Team Champions. That's cool.
Nice.
Elias shot up to 8th place. He has 56. It's because he won the 24/7 title twice.
Yeah.
Shane McMahon is in 7th with 69 points. Bailey is in 6th with 75. I didn't realize this till just now. 4th place is a tie. Roman Reigns and R-Truth, 79 points each. It's because R-Truth has won the belt 4 times.
Yeah.
Well, I didn't count the one against Gender where he won on the golf course.
Do we really need to?
No. Seth Rollins still in 3rd. Actually, back up to 3rd. I'm pretty sure he was lower than that. He's at 80. Becky Lynch still in 2nd with 109. And Kofi Kingston with 148.
Yay.
119 if he's on Jay's roster because of the Money in the Bank points being taken off. Well, the Raw and SmackDown after Money in the Bank being taken off. Roster totals. Jay has 741. I've got 838.
Boo.
Sorry to say, I've lengthened that gap a little bit.
Yeah.
But
yep.
Those are the points this week.
Yeah. Speaking of the fantasy league,
it's closing down forever. No, I'm just kidding.
We've been looking into it. You know, every week we have to run down the points, and it's been something that's, I don't know, it's kind of been a pain, honestly.
It kind of has.
With the way WWE does things, and I hate for that to just be the excuse, but honestly.
Well, that is why okay, I'm just going to flat out say it. Writing down these points is not fun anymore.
No.
And it is purely because of how they book segment to segment.
It's getting incredibly complicated.
And how unclear it is who they want to be the person that comes out on top in the segment. And then they'll flip-flop it on SmackDown the next night.
Yeah.
And how they want to cram 3 things into one segment, split it up with commercials.
There were multiple people tallying up the points for this show that we didn't know how to score for them.
Yeah, there was probably 3 or 4 segments we had no clue what to do, and we didn't score it until we got together right before this podcast and talked about it.
Like the Fatal 4-Way, where Bobby Lashley and Braun Strowman supposedly eliminated themselves, or the Andrade versus Apollo match that was supposed to happen, but never actually got started. I
watched it twice, and I was under the impression that the match ended in no contest until you told me the match never even started.
Yeah. So Apollo was out there, but really didn't get any points.
Or Rey Mysterio relinquishing the U.S. title to Samoa Joe. Didn't know how to score that right offhand.
Yeah.
But because, granted, we did have to do 2 weeks worth of points before this podcast, so we were here quite a bit longer.
But still.
But it takes us longer to figure out the points each week than it does to do the podcast.
Yeah.
And we want to make some changes to the rules once the new season rolls around. So we haven't quite decided if we want to cut the season short at one point or what we want to do. We're kind of throwing around some ideas for some point changes to make it simpler and more definite.
Yeah.
That way, if someone does want to join in, they can. It's almost undisputable how many points they have.
Yeah. We want something that's much more easier to follow, much more easier to track. Something that no matter what the situation, we can figure out something to give it a point value.
Right.
So changes will be coming, whether that's in the near future or a little ways away.
I would like to say that we'll have it figured out by SummerSlam,
Oh, definitely.
And we're going to have to throw on some ideas, obviously, like, do some test episodes. So I really do think that the season is going to get cut short, just so that we can try out the test of, like, a new point system. It shouldn't be too drastically different, but something that's simpler.
Yes.
Like, we have these categories with, like, extra points.
Like I said, we're not sure how much longer this season is going to be, but we will have a new season ready for SummerSlam.
Yes.
Like, we'll have it figured out by then.
Right.
Because that's, 2 months away.
What day is SummerSlam?
SummerSlam 2019.
It is August 11th, so yeah.
Yeah.
Just over 2 months. So yeah, by then we should have some stuff figured out. Get it ironed out, and we'll just see how it goes for Season 2 with those new points. If we have to change it again for Season 3, then, whatever, but...
If anything, we'll look at this as, just a test season.
We'll look at it as preseason.
Yeah.
Whatever.
Scouting.
Kind
of getting a feel for how this actually works with WWE.
Yeah. We're looking to just take off a bunch of, like, unnecessary rules.
Yeah.
Change up the point amounts to what we have so that stuff that is clearly more important on the show gets more points.
Yeah.
Like, if you have someone... How it is now. If you have someone come out on a show and they do a promo, but then they get beat down afterward, they still end up with a point. But if you have someone fighting in the main event of a pay-per-view for a title and then lose it, they get nothing.
Yeah.
When clearly the person in that match was more important than that mid-show promo.
Which is something I honestly don't like as much, is that, like, we have points for somebody just being in a match, and then points for if they win, but also take away points if they lose. So it's basically like, if all they had was that match and they lose, they don't get anything.
Yeah.
Which I don't like. Like, you're still being featured, but it's basically like you weren't there.
I would like it to be like, if you are on the show in a segment, you don't talk or anything, but you're there and there's a little bit of focus on you, you might get a point.
Yeah.
You'll get maybe 2 points if you talk or have a promo. Maybe 3 points if you're in a match.
Yeah.
Just based there. Like we said, we're still figuring it out, still throwing around ideas. We're gonna, get this figured out, get it ironed out, ready to go for the fall season.
Yep.
So
we'll get her done.
That's what the cable guy would say. All right. Well, that's all we have time for. So make sure you like, subscribe, hit that bell icon if you want to be notified of our uploads. Nobody watches us.
Or, try and help us out.
Help us out. Share it.
Spread the word.
Spread the word. Share it. Watch it again. Whatever.
Yeah.
Put it on as background noise while you do the dishes. Who cares?
Yeah. There's no video. You don't have to watch us. Just listen.
Yeah, it's just sound. So, all right. Well, thank you guys so much for listening. Come back next week for more wrestling and more ranting and more Wrestle Factor goodness. Peace out.
Peace.